I am Magda Kay, a relationship expert, author, and researcher of emotional dynamics between men and women. For years, I have studied attraction, male behavior, emotional intelligence, and the patterns that bring people together or drive them apart. Today, I want to share with you what I have learned through my research, my professional experience, and the thousands of stories I have encountered throughout my journey. What I am about to reveal is something very few people know. There is a secret code that all women use unconsciously when we are in the presence of a man we find attractive. It has to do with something as simple as touch. But not just any touch. There is a specific gesture, a particular kind of contact, that when you see it means only one thing. She wants you. And today, as a woman, I am going to betray that secret. Before I continue, I need you to understand something fundamental. Research in human communication has consistently shown that the vast majority of what we convey to one another is nonverbal. That means that while she is telling you, how interesting, what you're saying, her body is screaming something completely different. Here is what makes this so revealing. When women feel genuine attraction, we activate a system of tactile signals that we cannot control, even if we want to. The words we speak represent only a fraction of the real message. The rest comes through in tone of voice and, above all, body language. So why are you still only listening to what she says? As a woman, I can tell you this with certainty. We are experts at saying one thing and communicating another. It is not manipulation. It is instinct. Our female ancestors developed these signals as a mechanism of natural selection. A prehistoric woman could not simply say to a man, "Hey, I like you," because that made her vulnerable. So the female brain developed a system of tactile codes instead. What I am going to share with you today are exactly those codes. Some of them seem obvious once you know them, but most men go through their entire lives without detecting them. And the painful truth is that you have probably had women standing right in front of you, touching themselves in very specific ways, practically begging you to take the next step while you were there talking about the weather. That ends today. By the end of this, you will be able to read any woman as if you had her instruction manual in your hands. And I am warning you now. Once you know this, you will never be able to stop noticing it. Before we go further, there is something important I want to clarify. Not all touches mean the same thing. There is an enormous difference between a nervous touch and a touch driven by attraction. I am going to teach you to distinguish between them with precision. But first, let us talk about the most revealing touch of all. The hair? Let us start with the most well-known and least understood signal, the hair. You have probably heard that when a woman touches her hair, she is flirting. But this is only half the truth, and half-truths are worse than lies. Women touch their hair constantly. We do it when we are bored, when we are thinking, when we are warm, when our hair is simply bothering us. So how do you know when it actually means something? Let me explain it precisely. The difference comes down to 3 factors. Speed, exposure, and eye contact. When a woman feels genuine attraction, the hair touch is slow. There is something almost sensual in the way her fingers move through the strands. It is not a practical movement. It is an exhibitionist one. We are showing you something. This has a fascinating explanation rooted in evolution. Healthy, glossy hair has historically been a signal of fertility and good genetics. When we touch our hair slowly and deliberately in front of you, the primitive brain is saying, "Look at me, I am healthy, I am desirable." It sounds primitive because it is. Millions of years of evolution do not disappear just because we now carry smartphones. But there is more. Pay attention to the direction of the movement. When she lifts her hair to one side, she is exposing her neck. The neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the human body. Showing it is a gesture of submission and trust. When she sweeps her hair aside and leaves that area visible, she is communicating something unconsciously. I feel safe with you. I have let my guard down. In my own observation across years of studying feminine behavior, women dramatically increase their hair touching when they are in front of men they find genuinely attractive. It is not a coincidence. It is a deeply embedded biological response. Now the third factor, eye contact. If she touches her hair while looking away or scrolling through her phone, it probably means nothing. But if she does it while holding your gaze, even for just a moment, you have just received an invitation, and most men miss it entirely because they do not know how to read it. One more thing worth noting. The type of touch matters. There is a difference between twisting a strand around one finger which signals nervousness mixed with interest, and running a full hand smoothly through the hair, which signals confidence and ease. The first says, "You make me nervous, but I like you." The second says, "I know you are attracted to me, and I am comfortable with that." Also observe whether it is repetitive. One touch can be accidental. 3 or 4 touches within 5 minutes of conversation is a pattern. And patterns do not lie. But the hair is just the beginning. What comes next is where things get truly interesting. Neck and collarbone. If the hair is the appetizer, the neck is the main course. From everything I have studied about feminine body language, the neck is one of the most psychologically loaded areas a woman can draw attention to. It contains major arteries, it is deeply vulnerable, and evolutionarily, protecting it has always been essential to survival. So when a woman touches her own neck in front of you, she is sending one of the most powerful signals of trust and vulnerability that exists. But not every neck touch signals attraction. Here is the key distinction. A quick, tight touch, as if she is relieving tension, usually indicates discomfort or stress. However, a soft, almost absent-minded touch, where her fingers gently graze her skin while her posture remains open toward you, that is something else entirely. What I have observed, both in my research and in the countless conversations I have had with women about attraction, is that when we feel drawn to someone, we often experience a subtle warmth in the neck and chest. The body responds before the mind has made a decision, and that warmth draws our hands there without us even realizing it. It is as if the body is trying to direct your attention to the very place where it is feeling the most. Now let us talk about the collarbone. This area is fascinating because it is where many women wear necklaces and jewelry. When she touches her necklace while speaking with you, pay close attention. If she does it while holding your gaze and smiling, she is engaging in what I call active adornment. She is drawing attention to a secondary erogenous zone while maintaining an energetic connection with you. From everything I have studied about evolutionary psychology, women instinctively draw attention to ornaments that highlight areas of interest when they are in the presence of someone they find attractive. It is not calculated. It is the subconscious doing exactly what it was designed to do. There's one specific area I want to highlight. The small hollow at the base of the throat, just above the sternum. When a woman places her fingers there during conversation, she is touching one of the most intimate visible areas of the body. It is subtle, but once you know to look for it, you will find it tremendously revealing. I always remind people of this. Context matters enormously. A woman you have just met who immediately begins touching her neck and collarbone could be genuinely attracted, or she could simply have nervous habits. The key is to observe change. Is she doing this more with you than with others in the same environment? If yes, you have your answer. The lips. Now we enter sacred territory. The lips. What I am about to share will likely make you rethink many past interactions. The lips are one of the areas of the human body with the highest concentration of nerve endings. They are extraordinarily sensitive. And for that reason, when a woman touches them in front of you, she is activating a complex neurological response that is deeply connected to desire. Let me walk you through the different types of lip touches and what each one means. When a woman places her index finger against her lower lip while listening to you speak, she is creating a direct visual association between her lips and the conversation she is having with you. It is as if she is saying, "While I listen to you, my thoughts are going somewhere that involves my lips." You do not need to be a genius to understand where. Then there is lip biting. In all my years of studying female attraction signals, this is one of the most consistent and telling gestures I have encountered. Biting the lower lip is a gesture of self-containment. We are literally holding back something we want to say or do. When a woman bites her lip while looking at you, she is restraining an impulse. Think about that for a moment. The upper lip touch carries a different meaning. When she touches her upper lip while you are speaking, she is in evaluation mode. She is processing what you are saying, forming an opinion, making a decision about you. It is not as directly seductive, but it tells you that she is truly paying attention. In a world of constant distraction, that in itself is significant. And then there is the lip lick. When we feel attraction, the mouth can become slightly dry due to changes in the nervous system. Licking the lips is partly a response to that dryness, but it is also something the primitive brain recognizes as preparation for contact. It is subtle, it is powerful, and it is rarely accidental. What I have found in observing attraction dynamics is that even untrained observers can correctly identify a woman's level of interest in a man by watching her lip gestures alone during a short conversation. The lips, it seems, are among the least controllable signals we have. Frequency matters as much as the gesture itself. A single lip touch can be anything. But several lip touches throughout a conversation, especially during moments of personal connections or sustained eye contact, give you a clear picture. And here is what I consider nearly infallible. When a woman combines a lip touch with a slight tilt of her head and a soft smile, she has just offered you the clearest invitation feminine body language can extend without being explicit. Do not miss it. The objects before we reach direct contact, there is a fascinating middle ground I want you to understand. Objects. When a woman is attracted to you but not yet comfortable with physical contact, she projects that desire onto the things around her. I have observed this pattern so consistently that I consider it one of the most underappreciated signals in the study of attraction. Watch how she handles her glass or cup. If she touches it gently, almost caressing it, while speaking with you, she is projecting. The hand wants to reach out. Social norms hold it back, so the energy redirects to the nearest object. Her phone is another indicator, but not in the way most people think. If she puts her phone face down or sets it aside while talking with you, that is a strong sign of interest on its own. But if she also occasionally touches it softly, running a finger along its edge without actually checking it, she is channeling nervous, attraction-driven energy through her hands. Earrings deserve special mention. When a woman touches her earrings while listening to you, she is doing something doubly meaningful. She is touching an adornment, which I have already discussed, but she is also touching her ear, which is a highly sensitive area. It is the subconscious reaching for something sensory when the body is flooded with attraction. And here is an observation that very few people make. Pay attention to whether she is touching objects that are closer to you than to her. If you are sitting across from each other and she reaches out to adjust something in the space between you, she is entering your territory. It is an unconscious rehearsal for contact. The same applies to her clothing. When she plays with the buttons of her blouse, particularly the upper ones, while speaking with you, she is drawing attention to that area in a way that appears innocent, but rarely is. She is not always conscious of it. In fact, she almost never is. But the subconscious has its own agenda. The direct touch. Now we arrive at the moment of truth, direct contact. And as a woman, I am going to tell you exactly what each type of touch you might receive truly means. Let us start with what seems obvious but carries nuances most people miss. The arm touch. When a woman touches your arm during conversation, she is breaking a crucial physical barrier. But the meaning changes entirely depending on how, where, and when she does it. A brief touch on the forearm while she laughs at something you said is the baseline level of interest. It says, "I like you, I enjoy your company." But when that touch lasts a fraction of a second longer than necessary, when she does not pull her hand away immediately, everything changes. That extra moment is intentional, even if she does not know it consciously. The shoulder is more intimate territory. Touching your shoulder requires greater physical proximity and usually signals a higher level of comfort. If she touches your shoulder while sharing something personal with you, she is creating a physical anchor to an emotional moment. And then there is the hand. If a woman touches your hand in any way, even briefly, even as if by accident, you have just received one of the clearest signals possible. We do not touch just anyone's hands. Hands are personal. They are territory. The fact that she crossed into that territory tells you something unmistakable. If you want the definitive confirmation, watch for whether she creates reasons to touch you. You have something here while touching your face or hair. Your shirt is so soft while touching your shoulder. These touches are apparently casual. They are anything but. In my experience, studying attraction between men and women, physical contact initiated by women increases dramatically in the presence of someone they find genuinely attractive. That statistic alone should tell you everything. Now, there is one touch that I consider practically a declaration of intent: the lower back. If she places her hand on your lower back while you are walking together or moving through a crowd, that is partner territory. No woman places her hand on the lower back of someone she is not romantically interested in. It simply does not happen. And the knee. If during a seated conversation she touches your knee, you have just received a green light. The knee is intimate space. It is not somewhere we reach casually, not with someone who is merely a friend. But here is the master key I want you to take from everything I have shared. The most powerful signal is not any single touch. It is the progression. When you notice that her touches are escalating, moving from something neutral, like the forearm, to something more personal, like the shoulder, and then to something intimate, like the hand or the knee, you are watching a live demonstration of growing interest. You are seeing attraction unfold in real time. The psychology behind it all, now that you know the signals, I want you to understand the why. Because when you understand the psychology beneath the behavior, you can read it with so much more accuracy. Touch is the first sense we develop as human beings. Before we could see clearly, before we could hear properly, we could already feel. That is why touch is so deeply connected to our emotions and our most fundamental instincts. When a woman feels attraction, the emotional centers of her brain activate, and that activation increases the need for physical contact. Literally, the brain begins asking to touch. That is why self-touching gestures increase in the presence of attraction. The brain needs to channel that energy somewhere. Touch also releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Every time she touches you, even briefly, a small dose of oxytocin is created in both of you. The subconscious brain knows this, and it uses touch as a tool of connection, long before the conscious mind has made any decision. Here is something important. Women are generally more tactile than men in social situations. But that tactility increases significantly with people we are genuinely attracted to. Key is always to observe whether she is more physically expressive with you than with others in the same setting. What I have come to understand through years of studying courtship dynamics is that a woman's touches function as a form of emotional testing. We touch to measure your response. If you respond warmly, we escalate. If you pull back or go rigid, we retreat. It is a constant feedback loop operating almost entirely below the level of conscious awareness. That is why knowing the signals is only half of it. How you respond matters just as much. When she touches your arm and you smile, lean slightly toward her, and continue the conversation with warmth and ease, you are giving her permission to go further. If you freeze or go blank, you are sending a signal of rejection, even if that was never your intention. The mistakes that cost you everything knowing the signals is useless if you fall into these patterns. The first mistake is overinterpreting isolated gestures. One hair touch does not mean she is planning a future with you. You need patterns, multiple signals, consistency. Context is everything. The second mistake is ignoring discomfort signals. It is just as important to recognize when a woman is not interested. If she crosses her arms, creates physical distance, avoids your gaze, or becomes tense and withdrawn, respect that. Negative signals matter as much as positive ones. The third mistake is failing to act. Understanding all of this is meaningless if you never take the next step. Many men become students of body language but never move forward. These signals are invitations, but invitations have an expiration date. The fourth mistake is being too obvious in your observation. If she feels you studying her every movement with clinical detachment, you will seem strange, even unsettling. Your reading of her should be natural, peripheral, woven seamlessly into the flow of interaction. The fifth mistake is forgetting that you are sending signals too. While you observe her, she is reading you. Your own body language determines in large part how open she feels to sending you signals at all. If you are closed, tense, or distracted, do not be surprised when she holds back. The closing, we have reached the end of this journey through feminine tactile psychology, and I want to leave you with something essential. Everything I have shared with you today is not a trick. It is not a manipulation technique. These are the ways the human brain has evolved to communicate attraction and desire. Every time a woman touches her hair in a certain way, traces her neck, brings her fingers to her lips, or reaches out to touch you, she is communicating something that her words may never say out loud. Your work now is to pay attention. Truly pay attention, because I can promise you this. In your next conversation with a woman, you are going to begin noticing things you have always walked right past. And once you see them, you will not be able to unsee them. But remember what I said at the start. These signals are the door, not the destination. What you do with that awareness, how you use it to connect in a way that is genuine, respectful, and emotionally alive, that part belongs entirely to you. And if you want to go deeper, there is something important I want to show you next. Everything we covered today is about signals of interest. But there is a completely different level that exists beyond interest. And that is the moment when interest transforms into something real. When a woman is not simply attracted to you, but genuinely falling for you, the signals change entirely. They become something much harder to fake and much harder to miss. If you want to know what those signals look like, the next video is waiting for you right now.